What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Sugi from Shook Earth Media, and today I am very, very happy and excited to be back with Star Trek Picard Season 3. I gotta say, I never thought I'd see the day when I enjoyed a Star Trek episode this much again. I just kind of took it that it was dead. The franchise was dead, I was never gonna love it again. This episode has fully brought me on board. I was a little bit cautiously optimistic. I was happy with last week's episode, but this one, it's exciting, it's fun, it's satisfying as a fan. There's a lot of really amazing moments and just really emotional catharsis that you get in this episode. I absolutely love this episode. I was literally crying tears of happiness because I never thought this would happen. I never thought I would enjoy this. Oh, you guys don't understand how much Star Trek means to me. And oh man, just this, even having something watchable is worth celebrating. But to have something I enjoyed this much, I never thought it would happen. I'm blown away by this episode. And I don't know, a lot of people disagreed with me last week, but really, you gotta give this show a chance, man. If you're a Star Trek fan, you love Next Gen, this is the Next Gen reunion we never thought we would get. Now, of course, it could all go to shit next week, and I could be taking all these words back. But as of right now, that's my opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and definitely sub for more reviews. I think I'll continue to cover this, at least do a season wrap-up at the end, but I'm enjoying this so much, I just kind of want to cover it more. So let me know what you guys think, and if you guys enjoy this video, I will definitely be doing more. So we start off this week's episode with a flashback, and we're getting a little bit of backstory about Jack. And Jack is, of course, Beverly's son, and I should have seen, spoiler alert, that it's Picard's son. I should have figured that out last week. Someone had to tell me in my comment section, and of course it's obvious. We got so many hints, Picard and Beverly haven't seen each other in 20 years. They parted on bad terms and haven't talked to each other since. Of course, it is Picard's son. And just bringing up that legacy, I think it makes perfect sense. Picard always was not comfortable around children, so he's not a guy that Beverly might think of as a father figure, even though a lot of us probably look at him that way. But I love this concept, and bringing in this mysterious character who is he's basically playing both sides of a war situation. He's selling weapons under the guise of bringing medical supplies to people. So it's really, we don't know what his motivations are at this point. He's lying a lot, and we even see in this scene that he lies to Picard later. So I love this opening, and there's a lot of lore stuff here. The planet has an infection, a pandemic going on, and it turns out it was the warlords who started it. And I just love this opening. It gives us a lot of information while still preserving a lot of mystery. So I'm really intrigued by this character, Jack. He's cocky. He's definitely charismatic and interesting, but also shady. He's not trustworthy. You can tell that right away. And then here we are back in the present day, I guess you could say, with the ship known as the Shrike, I think. And last week I was like, oh, that's probably a ship we recognize, but apparently I was wrong about that, and it is not a ship that we recognize, and this is a whole new thing, which I love new stuff. We might as well build some lore into this. So we're here with Picard and Riker and Jack, and we're at the standoff where the Shrike won't blow them up because they need Jack alive for whatever reason. At the end of the flashback, the guy that he was trying to make a deal with said, tell the marked lady that Jack is here. So I'm assuming that the Shrike is led by the marked lady. We could be finding out that that's somebody else later on, but that's my guess. The lady who's the captain is the marked lady. So I love this mystery of what's why is he wanted? We know he's committed crimes, but what is it exactly? But I really like this standoff situation, and it's just exciting. It's thrilling. I'm really into this situation. It feels like classic Star Trek to me. There's no real moral dilemma so far in this show, but that's the only thing that's missing as far as Star Trek goes. We're actually having military protocols that are being adhered to. 7 of 9 after insubordination last week loses her position. That's something that drove me nuts with a lot of Star Trek shows, and that's why I was a little bit skeptical last week. Like, here we got another insubordination storyline. There better be consequences, and yes, there are. And that's something that is so crucial to the lore of Starfleet. Like, it's a military operation. They have high standards and all that. But the old shows did make fun of the bureaucratic aspect, and I thought it was kind of cool that we had in the flashback scene some references to the bureaucracy and whatnot. And that's definitely a part of the Star Trek lore. So the shuttle gets shot and that gets lost. It's really exciting. I'm really into this. I don't know about you guys. But here we are back with this character Raffi. I think I don't know much about this character. Season 2, I think. I don't really know anything about her. But so in this part, I was like, okay, where are we going with this? You know, we got the terror attack, we got the portal stuff, and it feels so disconnected from everything else. We know it's going to get involved somehow. But I was not into this storyline, really. This is the one part where it's maybe the weak part of the episode until the payoff at the end. We'll get to that, but that's one of my favorite moments of the whole episode. So this whole storyline, we'll see how it connects, but I went from being lukewarm on it to it being probably my favorite part. So, we got a mysterious handler who we find the identity of by the end of the episode. I thought they'd hold on to that mystery a while longer. Supposedly, Starfleet has found the person responsible for the attack, and she is warned to disengage, which, I like using that very specific word, do not engage, disengage. And I thought it's a little bit over the top to me that, supposedly Starfleet, maybe it's not Starfleet, I'm guessing it's not, that they're threatening that they're going to kill her. That was a bit much for me personally. So that was the one thing that probably bothered me the most. But again, they're probably going to explain it next week, and it's going to make a lot more sense. So last episode, we were introduced to the captain character, and he was like kind of an antagonist, and we kind of didn't like him. He wasn't being nice to Picard and Riker. But now with some retrospect and seeing his character arc, I love this character. I think he's great. I mean, his whole perspective makes perfect sense. I think it was perfectly reasonable to be skeptical of these two guys coming in to commandeer his vessel for something shady that they're not telling him about. It made perfect sense. He's actually playing it by the book. He's actually doing the Starfleet thing. I like this guy. I'm on his side in this episode. Like, everything he says makes perfect sense, and it's very, very relatable. It's just his tone is what makes him more of an antagonist. But it makes perfect sense. And like I said, we got actual consequences for our actions. And this episode's a lot brighter as well. I complained about the lighting last week, and that's been one of the annoying things about the new Star Trek for me. This episode's a lot brighter. So, improvement already. So we're back on this vessel again. And, I didn't even, looking at it now, I didn't even realize how long into the episode we already are. Because I'm just, like, so involved in it. I'm just, like, absolutely loving it. And we got, Jack calls Picard the captain, and then he corrects him. And I love this dynamic. The quips back and forth really work for me. I like Picard kind of taking action without telling them what to do. So, we got in a stalemate. There was like a grenade. Riker threw a grenade or something. I love this stuff. I don't need action scenes in Star Trek, but these are solid ones, and it's more about what they're going to do than watching them shoot each other. So it's great. We got this, tractor beam. Of course, that's a classic Star Trek thing. And, that's pretty much the end of, the stalemate, because the ship comes back. The Titan comes back to save the day and transports them aboard the ship. The captain of the Titan I'm won over by him with this action, right? He can't let the two legends die. He needs to intervene, even though technically, according to Starfleet regulations, he doesn't really have to, and might actually be against regulations to go in and save these people because they're outside their jurisdiction. And as he said, it's Starfleet regulation to put safety first in these situations. So, I love this transporter room, by the way. I love the lighting and whatnot. Really cool. So here we are with Raffi and her baby daddy, and there's drama here about her being an addict, and I love the ultimatum that he gives her because he's had enough of her. She's caused him a lot of strife, and this is a very human scene. It doesn't feel very Star Trek to me to have an addict storyline, but I'm assuming that was inherited from previous seasons. And you know what? I actually like the drama. I don't have an issue with it. It's not something Gene Roddenberry would have liked very much, I don't think. But you know what? It works for me. And she's not willing to disengage, and he gives her an ultimatum that he'll either get in touch with their son or he will get in touch with the Ferengi guy that she meets up with later. And of course, she makes a choice. And I already knew at this moment what happens later, that she was going to have to take the drugs again. I knew that was going to be the thing. So maybe that part's a bit predictable, but we'll get back to that a little bit. But predictable is not necessarily bad. There's parts of Next Generation, the original series, that was predictable, but that doesn't make it bad. It doesn't inherently make it bad because it's all about the journey. It's about the characters and the drama. So I'm loving this episode so much, guys. I'm just like smiling the whole time. I'm liking this creepy villain, this creepy bounty hunter lady, maybe the marked lady. I suppose we'll find out. Vidic, I think, was her name. So I really like her attitude. She's enjoying the standoff. And her smoking, I think, is kind of a fun dichotomy. They had a captain smoking in, what was it, Discovery Season 1. I was like, why are they doing that? But it makes sense for a mercenary to be doing that. Starfleet wouldn't allow that type of thing, I don't think, unless you're Mark Twain. That's a long story if you haven't seen that episode. But I like that she used the tractor beam as a weapon and threw the ship at them. That's a new thing. I don't seem to remember that ever happening in Star Trek before. So that's a new idea that I like, and it makes sense. And then we got LaForge, Geordi LaForge's daughter, bringing up the fact that her father said that any law of nature can be used or law of physics rather, can be used as a weapon. So bringing back in the past and whatnot, this character is growing on me. I hope that they do something with her more than just having her around as kind of a novelty thing. But I know LaForge is coming back this season, so there has to be some sort of story arc there. But again, the captain character is the most dynamic on this show right now. Dynamic meaning he changes over time. So I'm really curious to see how his arc shakes out. But I'm liking the dilemma of, I guess there is a moral dilemma. Maybe I was wrong earlier. The moral dilemma is the lives of the people on the ship and the safety of the people on the ship versus the life of a criminal that is wanted. And of course, it is Starfleet values to give somebody a fair trial. And that is something that is quintessentially American. And it's in our Constitution. And it's something I believe in very deeply. So I'm really happy to see Star Trek actually embodying those values, because they seem to have stepped away from it in recent years. And there's been a lot of violence and killing on the show. Murder Trek, I hate that. I hate it. So I'm really glad to see that. And I love this dilemma, actually. So I was wrong about there not being a moral dilemma. There totally is one. So again, and then the captain's like, this man's getting what he deserves. He's bringing up the regulations we talked about. And here we got a scene with Riker and Picard, and Riker knows Jack is Picard's son. He knew that right away. He hinted at it earlier, and I feel stupid for not mentioning it in my last review, actually. But I'm liking this drama. You can see the tension. You can feel the tension in the room. Now here's the scene that I love this scene right here, and it's kind of an emotional scene. And here we see Jack lying, because he says that he went to that war zone just to help people with medical supplies, but we know that he tried to pay off both sides. So he's not who he's betraying himself to be, but he does want to give himself up. So that means that he's not a terrible person, right? The only weakness in this scene is, and I hate to bring it up because it feels shitty, but Patrick Stewart's age, he's a little too old to have that gravitas, and some of the nuances in the performance that he used to have. But that being said, he did bring emotion to this scene. His voice was quivering at one point, which to me sounded like an old person thing more than like an emotional thing, but it works, you know. So I don't know. I hate to bring that up because of how much I've loved him in the past, but you know, it's a good thing that we have all these other characters to bring the performance that, you know, he just simply is incapable of at this point. But I don't blame him for that. It's not his fault. So here we got Raffi and the Ferengi. I love this actor, by the way. Amazing performance as a Ferengi. I think it's very accurate to the original. Everything from his body language to the way he speaks and holds himself, the cockiness, the set design, and how I love how he has all these human things. He has a hand grenade. He has all this random stuff. So, like I said, I kind of predicted that he was going to force her to take the drugs, right? And he sniffs out that she's Starfleet, and part of me is like, the character seems kind of dumb. She should have known that he was gonna sniff this out really easily, especially because he knows the connection between her and her baby daddy, former husband, I suppose, ex-husband. So that's one minor thing. I would call that a nitpick though, because the drama of the scene works for me, and you know, and the ending is so very satisfying, of course. Yeah, and he brings out the head of the guy that she's claiming to work for, which is a nice touch. So I really like this scene. And then we get a mysterious figure saves her, and it turns out it was the person who was her handler. And who is it? It's your fucking boy, Worf, dude. I freaked out. I knew he was coming back, but it's Worf, okay? It's Worf. I love it. I wasn't necessarily like a big fan of the decapitation. It feels a little out of place in Star Trek, but it's Worf that did it. That makes sense. It tracks. He of course is not a pacifist, which is something that they faked us out with in the trailer. They had him saying that he's a pacifist. I'm assuming that's a joke we'll get to later. It'll make sense. I love this introduction. I was so hype. Seriously, tears of happiness. That's not even an exaggeration, dude. Not at all. So, again, we're dealing with this dilemma. Talk about how do we know it's her kid. Jack escapes from the brig. Now, part of me's like, wouldn't they have searched him before put him in there? How does he have this gadget thing? Maybe they'll come up with some sort of explanation. All they really needed is a throwaway line of gobbledygook science. That's what we get on any sci-fi show. That's all they needed, but you know what? We didn't get that. Maybe they'll explain it later. Maybe they won't. I don't know if it really matters that much. And he's using Starfleet regulations against them. He's agitating this guy, forcing him to tell him how powerful the shield is. And it was really just a ploy to get him to come over there so he can knock him out as soon as he drops the shield. Very, very smart. So, and here we're in the medical bay, and Riker is ignoring the doctor, and he revives Beverly. And then we're having a final kind of negotiation, I suppose you could say. And I like the joke at the end of it that the captain says, "Oh, that was some really great standing up, Picard. That was really funny." So I love that we're having a sense of humor. It's a serious situation, but it feels lighthearted. It feels like Star Trek. You know, it doesn't feel like doom and gloom all the time. And the fact that we're trying to save somebody, we're upholding Starfleet values. There's so much good stuff here. I can tell the person who wrote this is a real fan. You know, maybe some of the people who wrote Star Trek recently aren't. I know this person is. It has to be. It has to be. And here's one of the standout moments of the episode when Riker brings in Beverly. And I think it was really, really smart not to have any dialogue. You don't need it. It's useless in this situation. Just having them look at each other is enough. And even Picard's performance, he brought it in this scene, and like it was really if you're a fan and you actually love these characters, you care about these characters, you love it. And then Picard, of course, claims the boy as his son because he is, and they decide. And I love to see Picard take control and say engage. I was freaking out. I was like, I'm so happy. I'm so happy right now. And I love that this lady's mercenary lady isn't angry. She's happy that they're fighting back. Like that's great. I'm really looking forward to next week. They hide in the nebula, which is a great plan. And I love it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Perfect score. I don't know. Maybe a 9 or 8 out of 10. I'm really loving this. Hopefully they can keep it up and we can get a really satisfying final goodbye to the next gen crew. That's what I want with this show. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. This is the show I wanted when Star Trek Picard was announced years ago. And I'm really happy about it. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out. Or should I say, live long and prosper.